Okay, well, we'll go ahead and start, and we're excited about talking about the Irish in Fitchburg and the Irish settlements. And the hardest part, when Bill and I went through some of what we were going to talk to you about, was deciding what to leave out. We thought they'll probably be falling asleep, you know, we can't have that happen. But a lot of the fun stuff we have to leave out. I mean, there's things we'd like to tell you the story about some of the Indian stories that we've heard, and things like that, that as I went through, I thought, oh, I hate to leave them out. But you know, there's quite a bit to cover, so we'll do the best we can, and if we had extra time, we would go into some of those little fun things too. But there's quite a bit, so we'll see how it goes anyway. So you know, that's Bill, my husband, myself. I'll get started, and he's going to dub in everywhere, I'm sure. Okay, the Irish of Fitchburg were one of the largest ethnic settlements in southern Dane County. The majority of Irish who settled in the 36 square miles of Fitchburg Township arrived between 1840 and 1860. Many of them victims of the potato famine that occurred between 1845 and 1855. A lot of people ask, you know, when was that? And we've actually checked at the university with some professors that we know, and it's definitely between 1845 and 1855. And a cluster of 5 homesteads of the same heritage was often called a settlement. In an area such as Fitchburg, with 76 Irish families by 1860, it would be considered a significant community. So the Irish were naturally leaders in founding churches here, organizing schools, and in serving both in the state and the local government. Again, we'll go a little bit like, you got to know a little bit about the history of Fitchburg. Well, most of you do, but I'm going to review it anyway. You have to know a little bit about the history, because the Irish settlements, everything's woven in, you know what I mean? If you don't know the history or what was here a long time ago, it'd be hard to see what transpired since then. Fitchburg actually had 2 previous names, one being Rome and the other Greenfield. In 1846, there was a 3-township area which included the present-day Fitchburg, Dunn, and Oregon. And it was named the town of Rome. How many have heard that before or knew that was called town of Rome? Okay, those 3 townships. This was in 1846. And in 1847, one of the townships broke away from Rome and was called Greenfield. I think you'll probably all know that this Fitchburg at one time was called Greenfield. 6 years later, in 1853, because of the postal confusion with Greenfield in Milwaukee County, do some of you know there is a Greenfield? Sure. The name was changed to Fitchburg. And
what year was that again?
That was in 1853. Mm-hmm.
Before your time, Scotty.
Yeah, a couple years. And a lot of people ask, you know, where did the name Fitchburg come from? Well, there was an Ebenezer Brigham, from those who have read a little bit about the history. He was a pioneer in Blue Mounds, and he was from Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. And there was a town close by, and probably still is, well, I know there is, close by Shrewsbury called Fitchburg. And so he offered that name, and somehow or other they took it, and that's how we became Fitchburg. So there was Rome, Greenfield, and Fitchburg. It's interesting. And the Historical Society, and I'm real active in the Historical Society here, the Fitchburg Historical Society, we still get letters now and then that just happen to come here to Fitchburg, Wisconsin instead of Massachusetts. And we do communicate with them. It's kind of fun in a way. Communicate now and then with them. In fact, if you put that in the internet and just wrote Fitchburg, you may get Massachusetts. So you have to watch that. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about the rural Irish settlement in Fitchburg formed in the 1840s. And it was near the northern end of the convergence of 2 of the important roads in south central Wisconsin. And Bill's going to show those a bit.
If you can imagine Mineral Point being out here someplace, and coming across the state to Verona, and then through Fitchburg. And this is the conversion she's talking about, just south of Adams Road, near Fish Hatchery Road. That was a lead trail coming from Mineral Point. They brought the lead overland because the Mississippi River was low, had a drought in 1838. So they had to come overland with the lead. And that was a major road. And the Fish Hatchery Road was Indian Trail, but it was, at that time, it was a major road. And then go on down and through Oregon and onto Beloit and on to Milwaukee.
So if you just want to walk down there and show it to them too. Can you walk a little closer so that the other ones maybe could see it, please? So in Oregon, a road branched off and went to Beloit, and then in Rutland, the old Janesville lead Teamsters Road divided, with one road, like he said, going to Janesville, and the Teamsters Road going east to Milwaukee. And maybe you can look at it a little closer when you...
Right.
Okay. Also to tell you, most of this material is all taken from our son's book, and I was also one of the editor of it, which is here. And it was highly acclaimed by the State Historical Society, and he did get a prize and everything for it, which I should have brought. He now is in New York working as a lawyer. But this is where most of the material, just to tell you that. And some of the pictures we took ourselves, and some are taken from Tom's book, and he had all the permissions that he needed to use any of the pictures. For instance, the road there, and we'll talk about that as we go along. Anyhow. Okay. So travel on the territorial roads, of course, was essential to the Irish. And for example, the railroad did not come to Madison until 1854. That's kind of a good historical number, I think, to remember. So the farmers hauled their wheat cash crop on a 10-day journey by ox team and wagon to Milwaukee. So that must have been a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a picture.
There's one of the ox teams here. Well, it's one oxen, actually, pulling wagon, that's what it is.
Yeah, it just gives you an idea. So the local roads were used to take farm produce, like this guy could have been taken, such as potatoes, to sell in Madison. And most of the Irish Catholic families, which the majority of them were Catholic, made the long trip to Madison each Sunday to St. Raphael's Church, which was a small wood frame church built in the 1850s. I don't know if anybody knows the history of that. I wanted to go back and look that up again. I actually think that that wood frame church was where the Capitol is now.
We think so.
Now, I'm not positive about that, but I think I read that quite a while ago, that that's where the old frame church was. Pardon me?
Where the Capitol is now.
Where the Capitol is now, yeah. And of course, then they built the new one, and then was burned.
So it's not the same location as the St. Raphael's that burned?
No, it was just probably, I think it was in the area of the Capitol.
In the area of the Capitol, as
Yes.
opposed to where the Capitol is
Well,
now.
it might be where the Capitol is. I wanted to look up, we have a bunch of St. Raphael's old books, and I wanted to look that up, and I didn't get a chance. But I think if you fed it into the internet,
When was
you
the
probably...
Capitol built? Does anybody know?